drove us all over St. Augustine, only parking for a few moments at a time until the sun came up. She was convinced at any moment we'd all be murdered. The sleep deprivation started to wreak havoc on my body. I'd be sitting in class, mid-lecture, passed out on my desk. Learning at school had become such a joy for me, but now chains bound me once again. I was unable to learn at school. Running at practice or doing drills after school became torture. I was exhausted. Never once did I believe my father was out to hurt us, but after a few months of this routine, I did become fearful that someone was going to break in. I had nightmares that never allowed for a restful night. Mother had unraveled to the point that her abuses were a mix of physical beatings and this new psychological torment I'd never experienced before. My second semester of my freshman year was dramatically different from the first. All of my teachers saw it, and they asked me pressing questions, just like Mr. Langston had done in middle school. Since my punishment for talking then was being yanked out of school for 2 years, I wasn't going to make that mistake twice. As the questions poured in, I became reclusive. First Sergeant noticed my new demeanor right away and called me Miss Stone Cold. No laughing, no weeping, no emotion. I just did what I had to do to make it through each day of school. It was like standing at attention for hours. Except I wasn't called to attention. I was just browbeaten from the chaos that had been allowed back into my life. My friend Matt drove me home many nights after school. If it hadn't been for him, I would have never completed my sophomore year. One evening, I got home really late, about 8 o'clock, and noticed that Abigail and Christian had gone somewhere. I assumed to grandmother's house for dinner. It wasn't unusual for them to go without me. I wasn't allowed over there after they found out about Talman. I walked into the bedroom and saw Brinley lying on our bunk bed, drawing in a few books. Grandmother was no fan of toddlers, so only the older kids were welcome at her house now. I saw Mother's BMW out front, so I assumed she would be home, but there was no sign of her. The house was abnormally quiet. I tended to Brinley for a few moments before I made my way upstairs to Mother's loft. Her room was a mess, but that was nothing out of the ordinary. Her purse was on the floor, confirming she was home. As I looked into the bathroom doorway, I saw Mother. She was in her pink lace nightgown, slumped on the floor against the cabinet sink. Her eyes were bloodshot red, and streaks of mascara ran down her face. She had a clove cigarette in one hand that was so long, it was a stick of ash. The bottle of liquid Vicodin in her other hand was almost empty, and there was a glass of red wine at her side. Some of the red wine from the bottle had spilled into the tile. Ashes from her smoked cloves had formed piles on the floor. "Mother, what's wrong? What are you doing?" I was at her side, attempting to comfort her. "My effing life is over. I want to kill myself. I effing hate you. This is all your fault. Herman took our babies and left me." She slurred every word with bitterness. Then she wept. She was desperate for another swig of the Vicodin, but I blocked her hand from her mouth. While she was pushing against me, she knocked over her glass of wine. The white lace trim that edged her silk nightgown turned red. She took her fiery clove and put it out on my skin, the singe digging deep into my arm. "Mother, you just burned me!" I started crying. It was extremely painful. She looked up and laughed. It was the evilest thing I'd ever heard. But even as she was sitting there in all her ugliness and all her mess, I loved her, and she still looked so beautiful to me. "That's what you get for being a whore," she giggled. I put my arm under the faucet and turned on the cold water, trying to ease the burn. "Mother, it's going to be okay. He will come back. He always does. You can't kill yourself. What would the babies do?" I pleaded with her. I grabbed a washcloth to wipe her face. I sat down on the floor in front of her and wiped her tear-stained cheeks. How do I convince her not to kill herself? She screamed out of nowhere that her .45 was ready, and she was going to shoot herself in the mouth tonight when we were all sleeping. I became dreadfully afraid. I grabbed the Vicodin out of her hand and grabbed the wine bottle from the floor. "What do you think you're doing, you little bitch?" she snarled as I rushed out of her bathroom. I ran downstairs to the kitchen sink. As I poured the medicine and wine down the drain, I exhaled with relief. Thank you, Lord. Mother is still alive. When I came back up